Welcome to Short Yardage, for Fantasy Take presented by The Big Cheese. I'm DJ Jarvis. I'm joined today by Mr. Andrew McKay. Our
Hello.
ratings last week dipped big time without either of us on the show. So, we thought let's get it back on here. Let's get our ratings back up and let's see what we can make happen.
I did watch a little bit last week, and it was just kind of Doug doing a one-man show, and
Yeah.
it was good. I liked it. That's because I know Doug. Oh shit!
Yeah.
I almost spilled my drink down there, but I didn't.
You would have had to say bye to your drink, huh?
I would have. There it is. Bye.
So we talked about what we're going to do here tonight, but first of all, let's talk a little bit about tomorrow night's game. We won't get into depth. We'll do that, save the in depth for later in the show. But who's going to play wide receiver for the Niners, and who's going to run the ball for the Packers tomorrow night?
That's a great question. For the Niners, I think, I think they could get creative with the playbook a little bit. Throw Beathard or Mullins out there at wide receiver just to create the mix-up. But, because they let go Dante Pettis. They, had 1,000 receivers that could possibly have COVID. So, yeah. And then the Packers are a whole other issue with running backs that are either hurt or also possibly have COVID. Speaking of COVID, there's Doug.
I'm not the one. I'm not throwing Corona.
I figured that's what you were shopping for at IB was Coronas.
Yes.
Doug doesn't drink. You don't know that about him, but
I do not. It does not mix with my medication, so I am free.
I drink extra for Doug.
Thank you. That is appreciated.
Somebody should.
Yeah.
Especially
I do it just for you, Dougie.
I appreciate that.
So, Doug, you're in for a great surprise today. Give you guys plenty of time to make fun of me. Today I did power rankings, just top 10 teams.
Yes, I saw that on Instagram, actually, because I'm like our one Instagram follower.
Yeah, so here is our presentation of DJ's top 10 teams. At number 10, I did figure it out. At number 10, we have the Tennessee Titans. I know there are 2 losses in a row. What was that?
There.
I was asking if that was because they're on a 2-game losing streak, and then you said that they're coming off a 2-game losing streak. So you kind of answered my question.
They're on that
their own.
They're on that 2-game losing streak.
Tennessee Titans at number 10.
Say it one more time.
You had the Tennessee Titans at number 10. I see what you did.
Anywho, tough loss to Pittsburgh with that missed field goal at the end of regulation that would have sent that game in overtime. No clue what happened in overtime, and then they follow that up with not being able to apparently stop Joe Burrow at all.
Man, the myth, the legend.
The man, the myth, the legend, Joe Burrow. At number 9.
And they didn't even have Joe Mixon in that game either. Which
They did not. They did not have any Joe Mixon.
No.
At number 9, I have the New Orleans Saints. I realize they did play a very close game. They should have probably lost to the Bears on Sunday. But not a whole. They lost to the Raiders, who I think if I expanded this ranking out to maybe 15 teams, the Raiders would make it in there. They have a couple signature wins, beating the Saints and the Chiefs this year. Saints also have a win against Tampa Bay, who you may see later in my rankings.
Oh.
Number 8, I have the Colts. They have a couple of iffy losses and no real signature wins, but I think their offense has kind of figured out their identity where they're just kind of run the ball a ton and pass it to the tight ends, which has kind of been Phillips Rivers' MO when he's not throwing the ball to the other team. And their defense has gotten a lot better when they're not being on the field so much. So I think as the season goes on, the Colts will be steady in that 5 to 8 range. At number 7, Baltimore Ravens. I think you could have them a little higher, but they got dismantled by the Chiefs, and then Pittsburgh kind of dominated that game on Sunday until the Ravens started making some comebacks later in the game. I do think that the Ravens kind of got a little gypped by the refs in the end of that game. I don't know if you guys were watching that. The Steelers had an injured player when the Ravens were trying to run hurry up, and they neither put that time back on the clock for the Ravens or gave the Ravens an offsides penalty. So the Ravens kind of got gypped there. Had one play left when they probably could have had 2, but Pittsburgh's very good defense. So what?
The Steelers had an injured player, or the Ravens had an injured player?
The Steelers had an injured player. So the Ravens had a big play, and the Steelers had a guy down, and the Ravens are like running up to try to spike the ball. They end up snapping it, spiking it, and they ruled that at the time of the spike there should have been a timeout. But to me, there should have been, like, if the Ravens would have had that injury, they would immediately, that would have immediately been a timeout, and they would have done a 10-second runoff from that point in time. But like I said, Steelers.
I don't know if the 10-second runoff would have happened. I mean, if it would have been Pittsburgh, it would have been, hey, Pittsburgh is now been charged a timeout.
Right. I'm saying if a Baltimore guy would have gotten hurt.
Oh yeah.
So,
but I think if it's on the defense, it needs to be okay. Play stopped. Ravens aren't penalized. It's the Steelers that are stopping the clock.
I feel like the play should have stopped immediately and a timeout charge to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
which would
once they figured out that there was a guy down, on the field.
Yeah, and I don't know I don't really know the ruling. It might have been a snap intimate thing, where the timeout took effect. I'm not quite sure. At number 6, the Green Bay Packers. It's probably unpopular amongst you 2 Bears fans, but
Boo.
Boo.
Yeah.
Jordan Rangel thinks
I don't like it, but I have to respect it.
I do realize they've gotten dominated in their 2 losses, but I do overall feel like they are one of the top teams, and I think that once they start getting healthy with Jones and then the receivers behind Adams, things will start meshing a little bit better. But like a couple teams ahead of the Packers on this list, they're going to have to figure out how to tackle and play defense before they can move up. At number 5, Arizona Cardinals. I've had to run back a couple times me saying Kyler Murray's just another dude, because he's done nothing but impress me as the season's gone on, and finally having a number 1 guy, I realized that he had a good wide receiver core before Hopkins got in there, but Hopkins just elevates that entire offense. Number 4, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That I realize, I know the Bears beat them, but other than that game and that,
just because the Bears beat them doesn't mean that they don't belong up there.
Their defense is so good. Their defense is really good. Brady's playing really well. He's finally meshing well with Gronk. I'd like to see them throw the ball a little bit more to Mike Evans for fantasy sake, but yeah, Tampa Bay at my number 4 spot.
Hey, for fantasy sake, that's the name of our show.
Number 3, the Seahawks. I know many people in our group chat believe the Seahawks might be the best team in the NFL. For my money, they're definitely the best team in the NFC. Again, like the Packers, can't really stop anybody, but when you can outscore everyone, that kind of goes well. Kind of took my team to a Super Bowl last year. So as long as they can keep finding Lockett and DK Metcalf is still playing like a man child, I like their chances to be able to beat anybody on any given Sunday. Anybody care to guess who number 2 is?
Well, who it is or who it should be?
Who it is?
Well, no.
I think you put the Steelers at number 2, and you.
That is an apt guess, Mr. McKay. Yeah,
I thought he had them at like 11 because of his rant on Sunday.
No, I still believe that every team in the NFL except for one aren't very good, and these are just the 10 teams that I think are less crappy than every other team.
Transitive property. You're. No, I'm just no. Never mind.
So
no,
why
I'm
do
not,
you have Steelers at number 2?
Because I don't think they're as good as the team that's number 1. They have shown a lot of inconsistencies on the offensive side of the ball that kind of bother me.
But they don't have a loss.
That doesn't. I don't care. They don't have all their wins are close wins against not good teams.
I mean,
I wish the Chiefs could play the NFC East every week.
No, they played the AFC West twice, which is a dumpster fire.
You're a dumpster fire, Doug.
Sometimes.
And of course, that brings us to my number 1 team, the Kansas City Chiefs.
What a surprise!
I think. What a surprise! You think? What?
There's an extra space in there.
There is. I don't know how to work PowerPoint, but I mean, at least we got a cool little graphic to work with this week. And so it's not just Doug reading off a computer screen. It's DJ reading off a computer screen. But I do think that the Chiefs are consistent on offense, and I think like last year, their defense is going to come on as the season gets going. Their pass rush will be a lot better, and I truly do think that they're the best team in the NFL, and not just because I'm a Chiefs fan.
I think that is because you're a Chiefs fan, and they just came off a week where they absolutely torched the Jets.
Yeah, they're so great. They keep on the poor Jets.
Do you think that they could have just like, hey, Mahomes, we're not going to have you like air it out all the time. We're just going to focus on our running game because we're playing the Jets.
They ran a lot of RPOs, and the Jets did crash down on the runs, which kind of made Mahomes throw it. I guess would be when the RO is not there, you have to go with the PO.
I think that should have been the game where Pat Mahomes just pulls out all the different tricks up his sleeves and starts doing things that, could try and be fancy, like throw with his left hand or maybe throw with his eyes closed.
He did throw another underhand pass for a touchdown. What do you want from me, Mr. Andrew McKay?
I want Mahomes to come down from the cloud that he's on and be normal.
I got nothing for you. In an alternate universe, the Bears drafted him, and he's mediocre.
That's generally what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
No, but no, like Mahomes, I just don't understand how anybody can be that good. Like not even so much like week two, like, oh, he was good this week and good, not so good this week. No, he's good all the freaking time. Hi, Chris.
Hey, guys.
We're now
DJ
joined
having
by.
a lot of fun with the Chiefs, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to do a new trick on this, and I wanted to show it off and then talk about
wow.
the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a whole graphic about how great the Chiefs are. I saw that. That was great,
It's
DJ.
what you do. Yeah, you know what? We subjected our viewers to 30 minutes of Bears talk last week. We might as well subject them to my talk about my team that's actually good.
Oh, Chiefs, they have so many problems about being good. It's so hard for them.
As if they didn't get enough more firepower, they went and got Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to really have that many problems with the Chiefs come the playoffs because they're going to run into a team that has a coach that's smarter than John Gruden and is able to beat up on them pretty good. And I just think that loss against Oakland, if you're trying to like rank things, that has to be a real like knock on how powerful your team is in any kind of power ranking, because that's a team you should not lose to in any circumstance, because Derek Carr is easy to fool and very inconsistent.
Did you catch how I had another team?
You had another.
Did you catch how I had another team in my rankings?
Was Oakland in there? Or Vegas, I guess.
No, they weren't in there.
Oh.
Did we all just die for a second? Or just me?
It was just you.
I think so. DJ got frozen face.
Weird. Like you all went away on my screen for a second. That was weird.
Well, DJ, this is Wednesday night. Anything is possible. Everything is terrifying. Yeah. This is free form. This is just jazz, DJ. It's all about the things we're not saying.
I don't think you can say free form. I think that's trademarked.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
nobody watches that channel anyway.
Jazz is copyrighted by Jazz Chisenholm, so that's one thing anyway.
I think it's just Jazz Chisholm.
Is it?
And Lonnie Chisenhall, but we'll let you go with Jazz Chisenhall.
Whatever.
So what are you guys doing at quarterback this week?
We don't know. Bears never know. It's a simple roll of the dice, and if Nick Foles' head pops up, then it's Nick, and if Trubisky's head pops up, then it's Trubisky.
Yeah, but Trubisky hurt his shoulder, so he's like not officially out, but probably not playing.
Yeah, but with the offensive line that they're going to be working with, I would hurt my shoulder too.
Yeah.
Is Tyler Bray the other quarterback in Chicago still?
Yeah, he's thrown one pass in his entire career since he's started in 2013, so that's good.
Yep.
There is a minor shot though that the Bears starting quarterback on Sunday is better than the Lions starting quarterback on Sunday.
Yeah, could be. Who is the Lions backup right now?
I think David Blau.
I think it's still
I'm okay with David Blau.
I think David Blau is still there. But yeah,
I thought I saw David Blau pop up somewhere else.
It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be a very run-heavy offense on Sunday for the Bears. And their offense is not built for run-heavy.
We're not built for pass-heavy, but we're also not built for run-heavy.
Okay, what do the Bears
They're just
do?
built for heavy.
What do the Bears do to stop Derrick Henry?
Pray that he doesn't get off the bus.
Yeah.
Pray that he gets added to the COVID list.
Pretty much. The Bears have been not great at stopping running backs this season.
Not let Danny Trevathan off the sideline.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yep. Danny T and Roquan just need to key in on Derrick Henry every play.
Yeah, Roquan looked very good last game, so that might be something to slow down Derrick Henry a little bit. Maybe finally Roquan's coming into his own. The frustrating part about Trubisky is outside of the inconsistency, every time it felt like he was starting to get hot, he would get injured. And I think this just kind of keeps that trend going. Not that he was going to come in, but that was something where it felt like it was a little bit of a life raft for you there, where you had that kind of option where, okay, maybe we get a package together for Mitch and he can do one thing well. We'll make him do one thing well. But now you don't even have that. So it's just, it's a lot of question marks. And this is a bad year to be good enough to just trick yourself into thinking you're going to get that 7th playoff spot.
I think the Bears are.
Sorry, go ahead, DJ.
The Bears are playing for that 16 team playoff right now. To answer my previous question, or the previous question, the starting quarterback as of right now for the Detroit Lions is former Bears and Chiefs legend Chase Daniel.
Yeah, I'd look that up too. That's terrifying.
I don't know about legend, but
I did see Schefter tweeted out that Stafford was exposed to a player not on the team with coronavirus. So as long as he has all negative tests between now and Sunday morning, he will be able to play.
He was exposed to a player who had coronavirus that wasn't
not a player. Somebody not on the team.
Oh. So it's somebody like in his personal circle then.
I would believe so.
You just said somebody that's not on the team, so I just thought that it might be another player, not on the Lions, but like in the NFL.
Right. I don't know. Here's the exact words that Schefter used. Give me 1 second.
In his own Schefter words, which are
prepared for these things.
The Schefterisms.
Just have him text it to you again.
Yeah. Shefty bomb.
Yeah. Can you get him up on a FaceTime?
MediaCom hates me tonight, guys.
Don't take it personally. MediaCom hates
I think he's actually kind of busy tonight.
He'll always make time for you.
Yeah, DJ. Doesn't it feel like, though, we were like wringing our hands over the early season injuries to like McCaffrey and Saquon when they happened early on in the year? Now it's just like a train accident happened where everybody is beat up at this point in the season, and major stars are missing off of almost every team, and fantasy owners are just meeting it with kind of a shrug, which is just bizarre right now. That we were so upset early on in the year about losing these guys that are stars, but at the same time, now it's kind of like we just got to make the best of it.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen this many injuries pop up in a fantasy season. I mean, usually you have a few, but it's ravaging every team in the league, and it's almost double the amount now with coronavirus, because now that's, oh no, he's not hurt, he's just sick, and he's got to do a 2-week quarantine. Oh, so now he's gone for 2 weeks. Great. But yeah, you'd almost rather have him, hurt and miss a week than come back the next. But it's yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just kind of gotten to the point where it's almost a normality.
Yeah. And it's hard to make any real long-term plans because you try to look forward and scout ahead for when you have guys hitting the bye week. The guys you pick up to try and replace those guys could be on the COVID list, or they could be injured by that point. So there's no point in trying to get somebody early or somebody you can just hide on your bench until you need them, because when that time arrives, you may not have them.
Yeah, it's hard to, for example, in the Bears case, it's hard to have backups when you don't really know what to prepare for.
Right.
So I mean, they've got backups that could take the field, but now they're sick.
Yeah.
So now they don't have anybody. It's gonna be Cordero Patterson and the backup tight ends in their line.
Right. It's a crazy situation because they were already so devastated at that position, and then to have it come through and be even worse because of COVID, because of these injuries that just never seem to stop happening to the center position for whatever reason. All these things just keep mounting on the same positional group that wasn't great to begin with, but at least they were healthy when the Bears were winning early on. Now you don't even have that going for you. You don't even have the consistency or the health going for you at the offensive line position, which has made it one of the worst units in the league.
Well, I think that speaks volumes to how good their offensive line was. and kind of overlooked throughout the first few weeks of the season. The offense wasn't doing that great, wasn't putting up points. The offensive line was playing phenomenally, playing great. Quarterback wasn't getting sacked. There weren't many, botched plays, and it was just inconsistencies at the QB position. It was just errant throws. It was whatever it was. The line was playing great, and then now you're seeing, okay, now the quarterback's not even having a chance to do anything because the offensive line is just gone.
Yeah. The real problem is that early on in the season, they could also actually run the ball. And now it seems like there is no shot to run the ball for this offense whatsoever. Everything is a problem. No matter what they try to do, it's like, I know Tariq Cohen shouldn't mean this much to this team, but just having somebody with that kind of speed to kind of make it so they didn't have to hold those blocks as long really mattered to this team.
Well, that would be like, and I'm not comparing Tariq Cohen to this man by any means, but that would be like the Titans losing Derrick Henry. That's one less person you have to game plan for, and that's a big part of their offense. So if you don't have to account for him, and then you just kind of have to focus in on their next back, whoever they're going to put in, okay, well, until they show us that they're a force to be reckoned with, we don't really have to key in on them. We can key in on somebody else.
Right. DJ, what do you think about the Steelers defense having the highest, being the most valuable a defense has ever been this week? Is that something you're buying into just because it's unstoppable force against terrible, terrible object?
Well, we don't even know who's starting, if it's going to be Ben DiNucci.
He's back.
Or Garrett Gilbert. How should we say what's eating Garrett Gilbert? Maybe. So yeah.
That joke was so bad it just caught on fire, DJ.
I don't get it. I've never seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape, but what?
Oh, it's just about grapes. It's like the Grapes of Wrath is all about grapes. I don't know if you know these things, but
I thought, isn't Raisin in the Sun about grapes too?
It's about drier grapes.
I digress. I think that happens a lot here.
Good grape.
I think that definitely if you have an opportunity, like especially, I think that one of the DFS sites may make you play a defense, maybe FanDuel. Definitely spend money this week on the Steelers because not only is their quarterback situation not great, their offensive line is really banged up, almost as banged up as the Bears' offensive line. Right. And Zeke's been playing basketball with the football as of late. So there's plenty of opportunities for the Steelers to get some points on the defensive side of the ball.
Are you worried about Zeke long term, or do you think this is just a focus issue where he doesn't really have much to play for right now, so he doesn't really care as much?
I think it's a focus issue. I don't think he's a guy that in Dynasty or Keeper that I'm really looking to unload. But, I mean, I guess Dynasty Keeper wise, if you're out of it this season, and if it's Keeper, maybe you think about looking somewhere else for Zeke and selling for some younger guys. Not that Zeke's particularly old, but that offensive line is getting old. And you really have no idea what Dak's going to be like if he's the quarterback next year or who they will have under center, because he's not very good with Ben DiNucci.
No, but I think the situation that Cowboys are in right now really speaks volumes to how valuable Dak Prescott is to that team.
Yeah.
I saw a stat where they have scored less points than the last time Dak came on the field.
In one quarter. Last fourth quarter.
Yeah, last fourth quarter. They've scored combined over the last 2-3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I think a lot of people thought Andy Dalton will just come in and he's a savvy veteran who's guided teams through situations before and that he's made other players look very good, that he would just fall into that role and be okay. But I think Dak's maneuverability and just overall athleticism has really showed that what does separate him from just your regular quarterback. And I think that's kind of what's vaulted him into this position where people are going to want to take a chance on him in the offseason. Whether he'll be ready for next year, I think still remains to be seen. He's got a long road back. To get him at a discount price too, and that something that sounds like a Jerry Jones thing too, is to PR side of it, pretend that, oh, this is us doing the right thing to do when he's trying to get him at a damaged goods price.
So speaking of discounted price, I think we touched on this a little bit last Sunday. If you are a fantasy team in a dynasty or keeper, that's kind of out of it this year, are you kind of trading some of your like veteran guys who are doing well for maybe a Cooper or a CeeDee Lamb? Like, I mean, my question is, like, if you're a team that's not competing in one of these leagues and you have like a Todd Gurley, are you trying to see what you can add to a Todd Gurley to get an Amari Cooper?
I don't see how he can't at this point, because Todd Gurley has found the end zone so often that he's ridiculously valuable. And even when he's not supposed to find the end zone, he does. So I think that that's something where it should be enticing enough to get somebody to maybe want to bite on a wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb, who has incredible talent, but there's so many unknowns about his situation going in. That would be something that would make sense for somebody if you're trying to win a championship in the future instead of trying to win now.
On the flip side, if you are a contender, what are you looking for in return if you're trading an Amari Cooper to try to win this season?
If you're trying to trade an Amari Cooper, I think you're trying to trade Amari Cooper to try and win this year, is what you're saying? Or
yeah.
Okay.
If you're one of the top 3-4 teams in your league,
I think you're trying to get at least 2 running backs out of that situation. 2 running backs that you can kind of trust, or maybe 1 running back that you can really trust and 1 running back that has upside potential. Like I'm blanking on the Ravens running back who's up and down a lot. Yeah, that would make a ton of sense to me. A guy where his situation is kind of up in the air doesn't make a lot of sense. You want to find out what you can get for something like that and get somebody else that might be a little more proven in that deal too. I think a lot of people should be targeting Jonathan Taylor because right now he hasn't achieved what he is able to do, and I think we're going to see that as the season goes on.
I'm going to ask you a question. Hold on. So pretend you're that team. You're contending to win a championship this season, and I come to you and say, "Hey, Chris, I'll give you Todd Gurley and J.K. Dobbins for Amari Cooper."
I would probably do that because I think you can find wide receivers long term. Amari Cooper, I think, is a bad example because Amari Cooper is a generational talent. But if it's somebody like, let's just say, whoever's rostering in on your depth chart as like wide receiver 5 to 10, that would be somebody, yeah, absolutely. I would trade Gurley, and if I got Gurley and Dobbins, I would give it up for a guy who's just coming in and being solid. Like if it was Tyler Lockett, yeah, that's 100%. If it was Allen Robinson, probably, yeah. If it's Ridley or like Lockett or one of those guys, I would be on board with that.
What about if I offered you Todd Gurley and Darrell Henderson for Amari Cooper?
Is this a keeper league?
This is Dynasty.
Okay. Yeah, if it's Dynasty League, I'd be okay with that because I think Darrell Henderson should win that job eventually. There are warning signs there to make it seem like he won't be the long-term guy there. But at the same time, I think that he's still in their plans at this point until they draft somebody new, that he could be their feature back long term. So it makes sense for me.
I'm a big fan of trade calculators when it comes to Dynasty. Not to make trades for me, just to make sure that I'm not off base when I'm sending an offer or when I think an offer is really good, accepting it. So I like it as a little guideline. And this website, dynastyleaguefootball.com, has a really cool tool for it. And they do a package adjustment. Basically, if you're doing a 3-for-2, a 2-for-1, basically assuming that you're not starting both players. And so with the package adjustment, Todd Gurley and Darrell Henderson is dead on value 458.1 to 458.1 with a 29 point adjustment.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these trades right now, you have to try to navigate just the injuries because there's so many injuries right now. That's what we kind of missed when you dropped off, Deej, is that there's so many injuries ravaging the league right now. And we all got super upset when Saquon got injured early and McCaffrey got injured early. But now like half of the league is injured and everybody's kind of just like, whatever. Because we have to deal with COVID on a weekly basis. We're just picking up guys and plugging them in.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like what the 49ers are doing too. And the Bears.
The game gets played tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think that they're planning on playing it.
I think that they should just not play, and they should have Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy G go head to head in Madden, and whoever wins, that's the deciding factor.
Do we think Aaron Rodgers is good at Madden? Do we think Aaron Rodgers has played a video game in like the last 10 years?
No, I think Aaron Rodgers is awful at Madden because that man needs to be awful at something.
He's awful at chugging beers.
Yeah, he's bad at that.
Not good at chugging beers.
I think Aaron Rodgers is terrible at Madden, but he will tell you how great he is at Madden. And so you'll just be like, oh, okay, well, he's probably pretty good at it.
What'll happen is Jimmy G will be down 17 before the game starts because he's so convinced that Aaron Rodgers is better than him at it.
Well, Rodgers is pretty good at golf too, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. That's not fair.
Is anybody actually good at golf? Like, I think even golfers aren't good at golf. They're just better than everybody else.
The guys on the PGA are pretty good at golf, DJ.
This is where we bring in Sarge and have him let us.
I don't want to talk to Ryan Sargent.
Why not?
Two people I don't want to talk about sports with: Ryan Sargent and Jordan Ringel.
Well, there went half of our viewership.
Oh.
Jordan and I disagree on literally everything.
So what do you make of the Vikings victory? They've been left for dead in every league whatsoever, and I know it's a great performance by Dalvin Cook, but is there anything more to read into what happened there? Because that's a game where you're looking at the score like early on, and it's like 14-14, and you're like, okay, we're just waiting for the Packers to put this one away, and Dalvin Cook just handed it to them all day.
Yeah, I think even that last drive, they're down 5. Everybody had that kind of sense of pending doom that Rodgers was going to make things happen. And again, I'm going to say this, and I probably am going to get cut. I'm probably going to catch flack for this. I think we really in this area romanticize what Aaron Rodgers really is, because as Bears fans and as a former Bears fan, I guess, so often saw Aaron Rodgers just demoralize you. And Vikings fans the same. And obviously Packers fans love him because he's their guy. But I was talking to a buddy, and he's like, as a Bears fan, and he's like, I would rather be in the situation of the Packers where you feel like they're going to win any game they play than the Bears fan where you feel like they go down 10-0 and it's automatically a loss. And in all reality, more often than not, the Packers lose the game going down 3-0 because I think Aaron Rodgers has lost something like 54% of games when they trail at any point, which is, I mean, it's a huge number when you compare it to all-time greats. And then when you compare the amount of times he's lost by 14 or more points. Like those numbers are huge, and you think, especially in this area, as often as we watch Rodgers play, that he's this, I have people tell me, I think Rodgers is the greatest quarterback I've ever watched play, talent wise. Obviously, Brady's got the championships, but, and I'm like, and when you just look at not the pure numbers, because numbers wise, they're great. But when you look at what he's done in his career, I think we kind of romanticize who he is.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Vikings victory on last Sunday, it was a fluke. The bottom line, the Packers forgot that Dalvin Cook was a thing, and they didn't key in on him. They didn't do anything with him. They let him run all over them, and they let him catch passes, and it helped me win a few fantasy matchups. So I'm fine with that. And plus, I got to see the Packers lose. I got to see Aaron Rodgers get sacked at the end of a football game trying to make a fourth quarter comeback. But DJ, I think you make a great point that a lot of people do romanticize Aaron Rodgers and all those comebacks, because that's what he's kind of known for, is in the fourth quarter coming back, throwing a Hail Mary, and somehow falls into one of their receivers' hands. As far as greatest playmakers, in my book, he's not better than Brady. You can't even say that. I think we're seeing that Brady is a lot better than we were giving him credit for, even so, with how poorly the Patriots are playing right now. And I don't know if that's a byproduct of Bill Belichick having to rely on Cam Newton and Cam Newton's strengths, or if that's just we miss Brady that much that we're awful now.
How about speaking of Dalvin Cook helping you win fantasy matchups? How about Doug not playing Dalvin Cook and still pulling off the upset against the only undefeated team in our league?
When you're good, you're good. What can I say?
Doug's a hell of a manager.
I say that now after I've beaten Bonnie. I expect her to just wax the floor with me.
Bonnie, the best owner in the league.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots thing was a lot of smoke to start the year. I think that essentially all the guys that opted out this year, those were some key guys, especially on defense. And the defense was the unit that was the best in the league last year. It has to take its toll when you're without those kind of players. So I think that's more of what we're seeing than just a system quarterback who can keep the team on schedule at this point. Brady last year, it just felt like you're waiting for that shoe to drop and him to not be Brady anymore. I think that's why you wanted to see what it would be like without Brady. But I just don't think you can assess too much into whether it was Brady or the system, because of the way that it's an incomplete at this point because of how many players opted out and how many players are missing at this point.
Is this where the Patriots figure out a way to get Trevor Lawrence next year?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody is taking Trevor Lawrence away from the Jets. I think despite Trevor Lawrence saying, I don't want to play for the Jets will still try and draft him. So it is in Trevor's best interest to just not enter the draft this year.
Yeah, he could. The thing is, it's not just about drafting a quarterback for them. They're going to get a high draft pick out of this year. And also because they had the players that opted out from opted out this year, going into next season, they will have extra cap room that other teams will not have. So we're looking at the cap potentially going down instead of going up. And that's what most teams anticipate. So the Patriots having that extra room is going to be really beneficial when it comes to signing free agents. And free agents might want to go there just anyway because of their belief in Belichick. So you're winning on two fronts there by having high draft picks and also this influx of free agents if you want them.
All right, boys, before we wrap up for the night, do our normal Wednesday night pick 'em. Doug, you do owe us a lone wolf bark from last week. So thank you.
Lone wolves howl, DJ. They don't bark.
Shut up, Christopher. All right, Chris. San Francisco, Green Bay in the COVID Bowl. What's the score?
It's so hard to tell because it's just a weird matchup right now. Not really knowing exactly what's going to happen. I think that the 49ers have a better coach. I think they're just going to find a way to win this thing just off the guile of Shanahan. So I'm going to say it's a 24-20 victory.
Andrew?
I'm going to go with a 28-17 victory for the Packers, and I'm going to make the stipulation that Devontae Adams scores 2 touchdowns.
What was that? Give me that score one more time.
2017.
17.
Dougie?
24-7 Pack.
24-7 that's good. That's a good. Is that the first number?
Actually, I was just playing off of Chris's numbers, so I didn't have to come up with my own this time.
I'm gonna say that the Packers win 28-3.
Wait, they're gonna skunk him?
I said 3.
Oh
No,
wow!
No tutters.
Robbie Gould able to kick a field goal.
So Chris, I'm looking around. Packers. Oh, Chris, you said 49ers.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, woo!
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, for Doug Green, Andrew McKay, the Wolfman, Chris Steele, I'm DJ Jarvis. We'll see you Sunday morning, bright and early. Doug will be still half asleep at 10 a.m. for Week 9 for fantasy's sake. Good night, everybody.